Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's all about the entertainment, so I hope everybody
is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it. He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Pro and the AM Championship is up for grabs. Before we get ourselves into today's proceedings, we have got a quick word with John Johnston just to sort of talk us through his thoughts and feelings of his season so far and also the seasons to come. So we'll drag him in, of course. John is very nicely giving up his time before qualifying to jump in and have a chat with us. John, obviously your season so far, talk us through your thoughts and feelings. How is it sort of compared for you compared to maybe season 1 and 2? Have you seen an improvement? Are you happy with your season up until now? What are you thinking could come about after today as well?
Well, how are you? Well, as you know, I'm not the fastest I'm always at the back, and last season I finished 10th in the season 2. But this season I'm currently fighting for 5th position. I lost out in last week points due to a few hiccups on track. But to be honest, lads, I love hearing the comments on either chat or Discord. See whenever people say how much they enjoyed the race. It means no matter where I came, as long as others enjoy it, then I've enjoyed it.
Fair enough. That's always the best thing to be, I suppose, is keeping the atmosphere nice and positive. It's something that can't always be boasted when it comes to the championships and things. Looking forward, though, what can you reveal about maybe season 4? What's to come from Tanso?
At the minute, our promo night is on the 2nd of July, and the main series starts on the 16th. It's still going to be on a Sunday night and at the same time and the same format. So far, we have over 30 signed up, so I'm pleased, and the majority of the ones who are racing are the ones who have been racing with us from the start. Moving Tanso forward, we will still be open to all skill levels, although we can be competitive in track, still keep it a friendly league where everyone can enjoy their racing, no matter their ability. We'll still race the GR86 and possibly put the Saltus on track together. It's another free car and a game with 3 tracks. Everyone likes different classes of cars, so we are running a GT3 season in the Porsche 911, the new 992 updated one. This will be on a Tuesday night at Laguna Seca, and possibly maybe a touring car season as well. So the future's looking good.
Looks like it and sounds like it as well. So plenty of exciting things for those at home listening along to get yourself involved at the Tanso Racing Group. If you are interested, obviously do get yourself involved. Don't hesitate. Great bunch of lads, and do definitely enjoy what they do. Before we let you go, obviously, John, you've got qualifying to do. You're in a heated battle for 5th in the AM Championship. So overall, is there any thank yous you want to give for this season?
I would just like to thank all the drivers who have turned up, from Series 1. There wouldn't be a race without them. And also all the admins who have helped set up the seasons. Especially James Bostock, who has been fantastic and putting in the extra work of doing the tables and making sure everything's all running 100%. There's a few people in the background, the likes of Rob Sutherland. Whenever I came from console on the iRacing, he's given me so much of advice. And then, of course, you, the broadcasting team, who have been great and helpful and putting on a good show for everybody to watch.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, lads. John, I've been up to my eyes here because I came on earlier on for a couple of few laps, and some idiot came on, and I gave out my trading paints, and they've went and they've put on a different livery which shouldn't have been on, so this is why I'm up to my eyes here trying to sort all that stuff out, but anyway, I'm on track now, so let the race start.
Yeah, well, looking forward to it. Best of luck to you, John, and thank you for coming to talk to us.
No problem. Thank you, lads. Bye.
See you later. John Johnston then will be out there today in full swing, doing his best to secure 5th place in the AM Championship. Callum will finally be able to come and have a chat with you. What are we expecting for today? 2 more races, the final hurrah, plenty still to decide.
Yeah, there certainly is. There's a lot on the line tonight. There's a lot of people contesting, obviously Johnson being one of them. So I think we're going to be treated to a lot of good action tonight, especially how wide the Silverstone track is. I mentioned it many times throughout the season now, like a broken record. The wider the track, the better the racing. I remember seeing Tanso quite a while ago. I believe it was actually last season. These guys were going 4 cars wide into turn 1 just after the first couple of laps. So it's definitely thrilling watching the Tanso guys go around this track, but also, one major thing that we have to remember is in the UK currently is we're going through basically our first heat wave of the year. So it's going to be interesting to see which drivers actually turn up and how much of an effect that's going to have on the standings, because some of those that may be in a chance for a trophy, which is the top 5 in both pros and AMs, I believe, some of them may lose out if it's too hot for them in their households where they race from. So yeah, I think we're going to be treated tonight, but I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. I think we are in for some stellar racing, of course, and well, being the final round, the championship standings are as important as ever. Let's take a quick look as to how the things rack up in the pros, and let me tell you for free, it is vastly close. It is minuscule between each of the drivers, particularly at the top three. John Sylvester on 402, Harry Fox, Daniel Wareham only 2 and 1 points back respectively on 403.99. Now let me remind you, there are 45 points up for a race win. There are still 90 points up for grabs over the course of the 2 races. So the fact that the top 3 are separated by 3 points is nothing, absolutely nothing. Ryan Dudley, Mark Brown round off the top 5. Kind of close, mathematically with a shout, realistically not really. Neil Rock, Scott Kostrick, Richard Flutie and Marcus Law round off the top 10 on 220 points. Now over to the AMs, while it is slightly less close in the AM contingent, it is still on. Shane Cotton, Joe Glass separated by just 9 points. 466, 457 with Mark Proctor rounding off the top 3. Andy West, Hussein Sarakadesla, the top 5, with John Johnston only 6 points back. Martin Lee only 10 back on that as well. So the fight for the top 5 and therefore the fight for a trophy, very interesting indeed. Ayrton Hadfield proving to be so far the best of the family with Stuart Brearley and Adrian Hadfield, the top 10. So again, a fight amongst the Hadfields in that respect. I think it's Ayrton that's the son, Adrian's the dad. So they're in a straight competition between them all to sort of see who's going to come out on top and claim the top seat at the Hadfield dinner table. Callum, it must be said, really exciting prospects in terms of the championship standings, both in the pros and in the AMs, with 90 points still up for offer, with 2 races left to go at a fantastic venue like Silverstone. Surely there's going to be something spicy that goes on today.
Yeah, there certainly will be. You know, we're going to have people really pushing hard for these points tonight, so it's going to be really intriguing to see who does what. You know, your normal quick boys that you see the top of the tables week in, week out, are they going to do enough to maintain what they need in terms of points for the table? You know, can Mark Brown claw his way up the trophy podium in the top 5, or is he going to struggle to defend in such a wide track? So we've got quite a few good quick guys out there, and I know Stuart Briley is going to be warmed up because I was doing some TCRs with him a little earlier on, so I know he's going to be nice and hot already before the race has even started. And it looks like Ryan Dudley there is getting a bit too excited with how wide this track is, and probably using a bit too much that isn't actually there. So I think there's going to be a lot of good action today, and you can see from the amount that Ryan Dudley's sway and how much space they really do have to sort of make moves and try and get in each other's mirrors and put each other off when it comes into braking zones.
I think at the widest, Silverstone is 17 meters from end to end, and I think that is on the hanger straight at the back end. That is a comment that was made in passing, and I briefly remember it. So if I am a meter or so off, do forgive me. What we do know is that Silverstone is a very nice track, and we are on the legacy version. So instead of going right at Abbey, we go left and cut through, and we don't even do the Wellington Straight. We go through Bridge, Priory, into Brooklands and Lovefield, and then start the lap off again through Woodcote and the old pit straight into Copse, Maggots, Beckett, etc., etc. Then it's normal from that point on for what we're used to since it changed back in 2010, I believe, was the last time we used the old layout of Silverstone. It is an interesting variant. It's one that isn't often used in sim racing recently. We normally go for the full Grand Prix circuit. Bit of new ground then for these drivers, Callum. Maybe a bit of unfamiliarity, maybe the potential for some surprises if people can nail the new corners, or old corners really.
Yeah, I didn't see any info into their practice sessions prior to this earlier in the week, so I'm not too sure who turned up and who got a good amount of laps in or anything along those lines. But what I do know is, yeah, like you say, you know, it's not used a lot, so there is going to be a slight surprise / new element to a lot of these drivers. You know, they're not going to be used to a track like this. Some will be really happy, you know, seeing Silverstone Legacy on there, because who knows, I mean, it's not just iRacing, you know, there's many other sims and racing games out there, so it may be other games or sims that these guys have been using to get used to this track maybe a couple of months ago or something. So some of these may have track knowledge, and it's just about converting that over now and really maximising your potential tonight, I think, because it's critical at the end of the day. You know, every point matters tonight. If you want a trophy or if you want to win the championship, I mean, you know, we've seen how tight it was between the pros at the top and even the AMs as well. There's a lot to play for tonight, and there's big bragging rights on the line tonight, so it'll be interesting to see who can make that full potential matter in terms of track knowledge and braking zones.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely wholeheartedly. And also with that, the raceability of this Silverstone variant. It's always been tight and twisty. Has Silverstone naturally, not necessarily tight, but definitely twisty around a circuit like this. Fast and flowy, and sometimes sort of in GT racing, because of how fast and flowy it is, and can sometimes be quite difficult to overtake. But I think that is not going to be the case on the Legacy circuit with these GR86s. Such a raceable car, and something that we have talked about all season long is the fact that these cars, with their soft suspension setups and their large amount of body roll and their I was about to say easeability to drive there, but I don't really think that's a word. I'm a commentator. I can invent words. The easeability to drive these cars really does lend itself quite nicely to it being easy to settle into and easy to, not necessarily easy to be quick, but it's easier to be quicker in a car like this, which means you can be more competitive. It's very raceable, and it means that, you know, no matter what circuit we go to, we've been to quite a few over the course of this season. Very nice tracks as well, it must be said. Each and every single one of them has delivered 2 brilliant races. So today at Silverstone really shouldn't be much of a difference.
No, it shouldn't really at all, but I'm just really excited to get this show underway, and from what we can see so far in terms of numbers, it is a bit lighter than normal. There's only 14 cars you can see on our system there, but there is still quite a few without any laps put in so far, or even out on track, I believe, at the moment. Oh, no,
22 in total, I think.
Yeah, so there are a couple out on track. They just haven't got any times in yet. Sarikar Desla being one of them. He's in a close battle between Johnston, who we just had in the booth not too long ago. So those two will be battling it out for, I believe, what will be 5th place. Possibly 4th as well, actually. I'm not too sure if they're within touching distance of that or not. But that's all close there. So we'll just wait for those guys to hopefully get a time on the board. You know, not too long left. Just hitting 4 minutes left to go, and yeah, I think the pressure's on for a lot of the guys, not only at the front of the grid in terms of all the pros, but the AMs as well. They need to be getting those times in and getting as high up the grid as they possibly can, as early as they can, because yeah, you know, this track's very wide, like you say. It's not as easy for the quick cars to overtake, but the Toyota GR86s, don't get me wrong, they're fast, but they're not that quick. So and we've seen how overpowered the drafting is on these cars as well. You know, you get in that draft or slipstream behind the person in front of you, and you can really make a difference there in terms of speed and sheer pace around a lap. So they need to get as high up there as they possibly can. If you lose 2 or 3 positions on the start, it's not over yet. You know, there's still, even though the track's wide, there's still a high chance of people going wide or accidents happening, especially if we go 3 or 4 cars into turn 1, for example. That's going to be an interesting scenario for the start of the race, and I think when all these guys do take off early doors, it'll be interesting to see who does what, and if these guys do try and sort of release their steel manhood, shall we say, going into turn 1, and seeing who's got the stronger nerve and who's later on the brakes. So there's a lot of thrills to come, but I think there's also going to be a couple of spills. But looking at it so far, you know, in terms of AMs, you're looking at the red markers there, there's not a lot of them, so there's a good chance at the moment for some of these AMs to really make up some points. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
It will be indeed. With just under 2.5 minutes left to go in qualifying, Daniel Wareham is the one setting the pace. Let's not forget, he's the one sat in 3rd in the championship, 3 points off the championship lead. You've got John Sylvester once again joining his son on the 2nd row of the field there in 4th. Interestingly, though, Harry Fox yet to put in a lap time. He is that 2nd place, only 2 points off the championship lead. Huge pressure on his shoulders because he's not got long left in qualifying. In fact, he's not even got enough time now for a lap. So he needs to get one in now or never. 1 lap shootout for probably the most important qualifying of his season. Harry Fox has done himself no favours whatsoever. And looking at those sector times, Callum, it's not even that good of a lap time. He is under a ton of pressure.
He certainly is, but look how close the lap times are. If he can secure a top 6, I reckon he's got a very good chance still of getting a good result. And remember, we do have a reverse grid coming up tonight as well, so with that also in play, there's a lot that could swing in Harry Fox's way. So, as I say, it's not over till the fat lady sings, so she'll be tuning up her voice box, getting ready for the end of this race, and hopefully Harry Fox can take full advantage as he comes over the line now. 2 minutes 6, and that puts him P9. So he's just outside the top 6. 2 AMs in front of him though, so that could be a bit interesting for him. He's going to be looking at that's a wall. No, very well kept out. But it's going to be interesting to see if he can make quick work of the AMs and get past them and start battling the people that are in his class. You know, it's always nice to see AMs and pros battling out against each other, but this is one thing that Harry Fox doesn't want to see. So he's going to have to try and make quick work of them and get the better start off the line and hopefully climb up the ranks to get as many points as possible in race 1.
Yeah, indeed. So pressure is on for the Wiskins racing driver. Mark Brown has been able to tip Daniel Wareham to pole position, so that means Wareham and Sylvester will be 2nd and 3rd on the grid for race 1. Let's not forget we have got 2 races ahead, one in 20 minutes of length, 1:25 with a top 15 reverse for good measure. So it's not over until it's over for Harry Fox, but he could have done himself a ton of favours going into this race by putting in a good lap time earlier, alleviating some of that pressure. Now it's an uphill battle. Now Wareham and Sylvester are in a prime stead to put in some good results. In terms of the point system, for those that are unfamiliar, the difference between 1st and 2nd is 5 points alone. The difference between 2nd and 3rd is 4 points, which is enough to completely switch around the championship standings. We'll get into that in just a second. We've got the grid for round 13 of the Tanso Racing Group. It's Mark Brown and Wareham that share the front row with championship leader John Sylvester alongside his son Alex will be there as a rear gunner rounding off row 2. Ryan Dudley, Richard Flutie, row 3 with Shane Cotton, Mark Proctor sharing the front row for the AMs. Then comes Harry Fox, Darryl Morrison, the top 10. Huge news for the 164. Sean Weber and Joe Glass there, the championship leader in the AMs, rounds off row 6 with Scott Kostrick and Neil Rock sharing row 7. Then comes Stuart Brearley, Adrian Hadfield leads the way in the Hadfield dynasty with Martin Lee, Andy West, P17 and 18. Then comes Kevin Randall, John Johnson, the top 20, Hussein Saraka Desler just in behind, with Lee Rylands rounding off the 22 car field that we've got here today. Callum, we're moments away from getting ourselves going. Who is coming out on top?
I might back Wareham. I normally back Mark Brown, but I'm going to back Wareham because I think Mark Brown may struggle to defend on a track like this. And I've seen Mark Brown defending at Silverstone last season, and he did struggle a little bit because they were putting some ferocious attacks up against him. So if history repeats itself, Mark may struggle.
Well, the championship-defining battle, the finale of the Tanso Racing Group Season 3, the GR86 Championship is about to get itself underway. We are green in Silverstone, and in this appalling start for Daniel Wareham, who I think is going to tumble down ever so slightly. He's neck and neck with John Sylvester. Harry Fox, I think, off in the background as well. He is. Oh, my word, the news for the championship. A pile up in the background, multiple cars involved. Mark Brown leads through Copse Corner. Daniel Wareham, John Sylvester, Alex Sylvester, Ryan Dudley, the top 5 rounders. Well, goes Shane Cotton, I believe. Oh my goodness me, huge news for 2 championship contenders.
That's massive, and that was one of the things that I mentioned straight away. You know, these cars, they weren't really in turn 1, but they were coming down the straight. They were 3, 4, maybe even 5 cars wide, and when these cars do move a little on the straight, you know, just trying to adjust yourself, there's cars so close by you, both to the left and to the right. It's going to be so tight, and it was a bit too tight, as we just seen on the start line there. So unfortunately, a couple of cars out early doors, but who knows, that could spell something good for some of them drivers. You know, if Harry Fox, for example, if he can get a bit of a move on and just claw maybe a couple positions, he'll be looking at maybe a front row start for race 2. So it could also play in their favour. You know, it's not over yet. This is only race 1 and it's early doors yet.
Yeah, well, Harry Fox needs to move. He's got 5.5 seconds to even have a shout of contention in race 2. He's done that because Adrian Hadfield's had an issue. Harry Fox P15 reverse grid pole, but that is still living on a prayer for Harry Fox. and we are nowhere near halfway there, unfortunately, for the man second place in the championship. As it stands, Daniel Wareham will take the lead, followed by Sylvester, but we're only 1.5 laps in or we're not even completed the first lap, I should say, of this race. Mark Brown leads, Daniel Wareham in behind, and look how close it is. What I am interested in, though, is why Wareham didn't move off the start. He literally left hand down, and yet it's not really made much of a difference. Alex Sylvester under a bit of pressure from Ryan Dudley as well. The top 5 nose to tail as we round off lap 1.
Yeah, it was a bit of an odd situation there for Dan Wareham at the start, but it proves that that hasn't really stopped him much, as he's putting Mark Brown under pressure now, looking at the inside line. Mark Brown going the quickest, but only by 0.2, and this is exactly what I had seen last season, and that was in a practice session that I'd last seen these guys race around here, and Dan Wareham was putting Mark Brown under immense pressure, and it's the one thing he's doing again. So can history repeat itself, or does Mark Brown come out on top, and Wareham's going to hold the inside line, but that flings Mark to the inside now. Mark's going to try and hold it, but Wareham's got the outside, back on the inside again. He's got the position, but Mark Brown's going to come straight back on the attack, because he's now, well, he looks like he has the momentum, but because he's got the outside line, he's still going to fall back just that little bit further. And, well, what a bit of side-by-side action we had there.
Indeed so, and it continues. Daniel Wareham, this is for the race lead. John Sylvester trying to capitalise as much as they can. Side by side in towards Stowe Corner. Inside for Mark Brown. Outside for Wareham, who sails his GR86 the long way round. Keeps the race lead now, and it's carnage in the background as Ryan Dudley tries to put some pressure on Alex Sylvester. John Sylvester trying to put some pressure onto Mark Brown. So close to contact as now side by side in the fight for fourth. Dudley goes around the outside, completely mugs off Sylvester and finds his way into fourth place. Daniel Wareham, though, with one of the most vital moves of his season so far, takes the lead on the second lap of race number 1 here at Silverstone, and that puts him in prime position. 9 points now is the swing that he's going to gain over John Sylvester. Gives him a 6-point advantage as of yet so far in this race. Going into race 2, Daniel Wareham has delivered today. He is turning up the intensity all the way up to 10. He's breaking the scale, and if he can just keep this position, he's doing himself a lot of favours to win this championship.
He certainly is, and what a piece of battling we just saw there, you know, between those two. It was early doors as well, so I wouldn't have thought these guys are sort of pushing 100% just yet, but they're just trying to settle into that rhythm, because it's, you know, it's the first race, it's a hot day, so you don't want to be pushing 100% throughout both races. But I have to admit, even though these guys don't seem like they're pushing 100% straight away, we're seeing some good battles, as we now have John Sylvester struggling really against Dudley, but Dudley makes quick moves on Sylvester and makes quick work of him, getting in front of both Sylvesters now within, well, I think that's within 1 lap actually. He's managed to get past both the Sylvester boys and is currently beating them in terms of points gained from this race. So now he's going to try and track down Mark Brown. It's got a bit of a gap to do it, but Ryan Dudley's pace so far, I wouldn't put it past him. And Harry Fox in P20 has just done the quickest lap of the race. Currently down here battling at the minute with Lee Rylands, and yeah, he just put in, I believe that was a 2:07. I think I just saw pop up. So really quick time there, even though he's near the back of the grid after that earlier incident. Fantastic run so far for Harry Fox.
It's fantastic pace. It's not a fantastic run. I wouldn't go that far just yet. P19. He was in P15, which is Harry Fox's last glimmer of hope. Something to at least get him through today, because qualifying, the start of the race was carnage for the man second place in the championship. It brings it down to 2 in the fight for the pros. Also in the AMs, as actually we'll get back to that in just a second, because John Sylvester trying to find a way through back onto the podium. Limit the damage done by Daniel Wareham in this race through the left and then the right as they run their way now in towards the legacy part of the circuit, through the next right-hander, continuing to go side by side. Sylvester now has the outside. Alex Sylvester sitting dormant in the background, waiting for an opportunity. They run their way in towards Brooklands. A bit of a send. Oh my word! John Sylvester, a bit of contact there made with Ryan Dudley, who eventually gives him the space. An outrageous move from the 193. Bit of contact, and that is desperation from Sylvester.
There is a bit of desperation there, and that's ultimately going to slow his pace down, and Alex Sylvester's probably holding off just a little bit, because I thought he would have been a bit closer after that little slip up there from those two, but I think he's holding off a little bit to give John all the space he can to try and gain those positions. So I believe John's currently sitting higher up the table. You know, he's in for a good shout this season for finishing really high up, and there's a bit of a slip up there for Ryan Dudley. That's going to affect his momentum, and now John Sylvester's going to take advantage. And can Alex now do the same? I don't think he's going to have enough. He doesn't. Ryan Dudley's let on the brakes. He's going wide again. He's just managing to hold that thing. Is there a bit of dirt still on those tyres, Zach?
Maybe so. I think the trip over the AstroTurf definitely did hurt him, but look at this run. Now he's sort of regained his momentum, and now he's in the slipstream of John Sylvester, who is fighting tooth and nail for at least a chance going into race 2. Defensive as they run their way through the hangar straight, side by side of the background as well, but we'll focus our attention on the fight for the podium. To the left-hand side goes Ryan Dudley. He's got his nose ahead. Is he braver on the brakes? Stowe corner is a very good corner if you can keep the momentum up, keep the revs up, and put the power down. Still, side by side, Ryan Dudley versus John Sylvester. The pink car is Dudley. He's on the right-hand side of your screen. That's the inside for the Vale chicane. John Sylvester forced to concede. Might be going for the double up and under as we round off at the first half of this lap through Club Corner, and nothing to be said on the counter-attack. Ryan Dudley is doing everything he can to assist his teammate Daniel Wareham up in front.
Yeah, Dan Wareham's doing a pretty good job of keeping his pace on top of Mark Brown's at the moment. Mark Brown's not doing too well in terms of closing the gap, but he's doing very well in terms of keeping it relatively level. So Mark Brown's just got to find that extra tenth or two per lap to try and close that gap down between those two at the top, and yeah, he's going to have to really dig deep for that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I think we've just had Stuart Bradley crash because he's making his way down the grid at the moment. So unfortunate for Stuart because he's lost quite a few positions just then from what I could just see. But John Sylvester's going for a move once again, and they're bumper to bumper. They're ultra close, and coming side by side now. Is Dudley going to be able to hold off the position? He's got hold off two Sylvesters for another 12 odd minutes yet, so it's not going to be an easy task. But you know, from the pace we've seen Dudley so far, he's got it in him. He's just got to try not to have any slip-ups, where we did have one lap ago at this very point. So he managed to get through there nice and clean this time. So hopefully he can carry that momentum through around this lap and sort of put a bit of time between himself and the two Sylvesters.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for Dudley at this point is to bridge the gap between the top two and the Sylvester couple. Alex Sylvester is giving his dad a very good helping hand there, not putting any pressure on and trying to assist him in getting a way through, because as it stands, Wareham is going to gain a significant chunk of points over Sylvester, easily taking the championship lead and some change on top of that going into race 2. There's the move from Mark Brown, though, the counter-attack. He's not in a fight for the championship lead. He's in a fight for 5th in the championship, and he wants this race win. Outside line, he's forced to brake earlier than Daniel Wareham, who retains the race lead and takes the apex quite nicely. But Mark Brown is throwing everything at this. We round off the first half of this race. Race number 1, 20 minutes in length, and this still the championship fight up for grabs. Mark Brown from pole position is not giving an inch when it comes to Daniel Wareham, and he is trying everything he can to launch a counter-attack. So many storylines developing in this race. Now in towards Abbey, John Sylvester looks to the outside of Ryan Dudley. No way through for now. This is going to be a very interesting 9.5 minutes.
It certainly is, and there's battles all over the field. I mean, we go back here to Scott Kostrick, currently in P12, and I mean, look at this battle. You know, it may be for P12, but this means everything to these guys because every point matters. You know, every little helps in these two races today. And what a move by the Whisk team car there on the outside, managing to get the inside line on the second half of that chicane turn there, and he's managed to come out in front of this back of 4, managing to get, I believe that was 2 overtakes in one corner, because he was side by side with the pink bonnet car there of the Simtech team. So he managed to get both him and Scott Kostrick in one turn. So that was a very bold move, and paid off big time, because you can see the gap now opening up between those sets of cars there. But we're going to get back towards John Sylvester, because the gap is not getting any bigger, and he's slowly clawing that time back to Ryan Dudley. It seems to be in this first sector is when he claws it back, but then Dudley finds that extra couple of horsepower, that extra couple of miles an hour, extra bit of momentum or grip, whatever it is. Ryan Dudley finds it each lap, and he extends the gap by 2 tenths just in those last couple of corners while I was trying to speak English. He's managed to find that time, and but he's instantly losing it again. So Dudley's I think at this point he's scrambling. You know, he's doing everything he possibly can to defend, and it might actually be slowing him down.
It might well be. Sylvester looking to the outside, covered off nicely from Dudley. The up and under though, is there an overlap as they run their way slightly downhill in towards the Vale chicane? Dudley wants more on the defensive. Sylvester wants more force to the outside. Look at how much later he is on the brakes. Has he got the agility? No. Stays behind once more. 4th place for now. A slow run. Look at that run. Dudley's hardly moved going out of the Vale chicane in through Club Corner. John Sylvester's still not got quite enough though as they run their way through what is now this Hamilton straight. Defensive in towards Abbey though. John Sylvester with a good run. Ducking, diving, searching for the inside. Eventually opts for the outside. Late on the brakes. And this time he's got the agility. John Sylvester takes the podium place once more from Ryan Dudley. Gets himself into 3rd. And now it's still a loss in the championship, but it's a slightly less one, slightly less bad. It's only a 6-point swing now for John Sylvester. And now Alex Sylvester, his son, trying in the background to maybe force the initiative and maybe put Ryan Dudley out of the Sylvester's mind. John Sylvester, though, a fantastic move. Great respect between both drivers, considering the stakes at hand.
Yeah, 100%, and I have to admit, I think that's move of the night so far. It's fantastic. We had a beautiful camera angle. You could see how wide Sylvester had to swing his car out to get around Dudley. You know, these cars look small on the cameras compared to the track. I mean, you can see there, but you can see the amount of defense that these guys have to actually do. And Sylvester, you know, the big turn and the big angle he had to actually get on that corner to get past was incredible. But one thing I do want to mention, Daryl Morrison, as Alex Sylvester and Ryan Dudley are going side by side. Alex is trying to get up there and keep the family momentum going high up the table, and he's not going to be able to do it, so they're going to go back into their single file line. But Daryl Morrison, one of the more recent comers, he is in AMS, I believe, because he's got the triple number on his number plate there, so he's kind of surprising a few people. You know, he's only been in a round or two so far, and he's currently giving some battle and some problems to Alex Sylvester. They're not battling for points because obviously Daryl hasn't been here for much of the season, but that could be a name to watch out for next season because he seems to have pace. He saw it a lot last week. I mentioned it last week. You know, Morrison has pace. He's clawing his way up the grid, and he's done the same again today. So fantastic so far from Daryl Morrison.
Yeah, indeed so. He is doing a great job and is, well, in the mix, to say the least. And to be in with a shout of a top 5 in a grid as competitive as this is definitely a good thing to be boasting. Ryan Dudley has not been shaken by John Sylvester as of yet and is still searching for a way to allow Daniel Wareham to stretch his advantage more. The Simtech team have shown great camaraderie, have to as Platinum PVG in the YouTube chat cheering on his teammate. Inside line for Ryan Dudley. He's gone in too wide though. The up and under from John Sylvester gives him a bit of an overlap as they go in towards Brooklands once more. Sylvester has the inside line. He's late on the brakes. Now the advantage swings once more to the pink Simtech car. Look at how wide Sylvester is. Alex Sylvester even has a chance to go to the inside, and now it's civil war at the dinner table of the Sylvesters. Side by side, eventually Alex concedes, but it was not great for Sylvester. I think he was planning a sensational run.
It was. I mean, you could see the speed building in John Sylvester's car there. You know, he did slightly gain on Dudley, but then also lost it because he's got Alex Sylvester up the inside, and because his line was so far wide, that speed didn't actually make anything up. In the end, it started to lose him some time because the line was so far off the actual racing line. I think even though you do carry that maybe extra couple of miles an hour through that corner, it loses you more time than what it's worth. So unlucky there for John, trying to get the move done once again on Dudley, and not able to do so at the minute. Ryan Dudley's putting on a fantastic show for us. We're just going to pop back up to the top though, because it looks like Mark Brown and Dan Wareham are going to go at it once again, and the action just doesn't stop for these guys at the top.
It really doesn't. It's constant, and it couldn't come on a better day. This is the fight for the lead. Daniel Wareham, Mark Brown. Daniel Wareham, of course, now as it stands, is going to take the championship lead by 6 points over John. So actually, no, it's even more. Alex Sylvester's gone for the move as well. What is going on between the two Sylvesters? They've worked so well together. John Sylvester's able to keep the place. It's knocked their momentum because here comes Darren Morrison to the inside trying to take 5th place. And now we might settle ourselves into 2 wide, 2 deep as Dudley's still under pressure from Sylvester, launching a counter-attack. What a battle this has been. They run their way uphill ever so slightly in towards Abbey, late on the brakes from both Sylvesters. They keep their respective positions, but Ryan Dudley's gone the long way round and has managed to pip himself back into 3rd place. What is this race, Callum? This is what we do.
Yeah, this is why we sit in the booth, you know, enjoying this. This is why everyone sits at home enjoying this on a Sunday evening, and what a wonderful Sunday evening it is so far with this fantastic race. And Darren Morrison looking up the inside of it there, and it looks like Ryan Dudley's had a bit of an issue, bit of a lock-up maybe. There's a lot of smoke, and he's lost quite a few positions there. He's gone down 3 positions now, finds himself in P5, so he's actually gained again on Darren Morrison. Darren Morrison not able to get the job done there. And now Dudley's going to have to do all that work again and get back in front of 2 Sylvesters. Not 1, but 2. Double trouble. Is he going to be able to make it work, or are the family going to work together to hold John out in front?
Well, that's what they've been doing for so far. The number 16 Platinum Racing car of Alex Sylvester. The long way round through Copse Corner. Very wide, it must be said, I think, from Joe Glass in the background. Also, side by side as they run their way in towards Maggots and Beckett. And Ryan Dudley forced to concede. And now, as much as his Ministry of Defence licence is going to be loving it with the fact that he's put up such a good battle for his teammate Daniel Wareham, who is now 11 seconds clear of Sylvester and 2 positions, I think that might well come to an end. But he's done a brilliant job, and he has managed to bridge the gap and allow Wareham a shout at the championship. He deserves a pint or 2 bought from Daniel Wareham. That is late on the brakes as well into Stowe. Wow, Ryan Dudley is giving everything in this race. We're about to start the final lap of it. I think Wareham's got it in the bag to take this win.
Yeah, I think Wareham's going to have it, and it'll be interesting to see what he does against Mark Brown coming up to the final lap. There's contact there between the 2 that we were just watching, Dudley and Sylvester. So that is 1 Sylvester down. Maybe not the most conventional method, but now his eyes are set on John. We'll look back at that crash and see what exactly happened there. So we are going to be in a bit of a slow-mo cam here, so we can really see what happened while the guys just come around for their last lap. Bit of bumper to bumper. Yeah, I think there's a bit of nudging. There may be a bit of slowdown from Alex Sylvester out in front. But that's one thing these cars certainly don't like, is bumper to bumper, whether they're braking or, you know, using a bit of engine braking. In any way, shape or form, you're slowing down and someone on your rear bumper giving you a couple of love taps is never ever good.
It is not, and sometimes it is very, very sensitive. Barney the Flagman, strongest right arm in sim racing, waves the white flag to signal the final go around the Silverstone Legacy Circuit for race number 1. And don't forget, ladies and gents, race 2, top 15 reverse, plus an extra 5 minutes for good measure as well. The championship will be on the line, and Daniel Wareham is under pressure from Mark Brown. No matter what, he will still take the lead of the championship. First or second doesn't really matter, but both of them are showing their mettle. Both of them are giving everything. 0.3 of a second between the 2 of them. Mark Brown wants this win. Daniel Wareham wants this win for 2 entirely different reasons. Mark Brown wants it to win. Daniel Wareham wants the points, and that is exclusively it. He wants the difference between himself and John Sylvester. Defensive into Stowe initially. Doesn't really know where he wants to go. Moving left and right. Mark Brown putting him under pressure. Daniel Wareham, though, he's defended for the last 20 minutes, and, well, I'm sure the final half a lap of this race is no different.
Yeah, he's going to try and make that car as wide as possible. You know, what did you say it was? 17 meters, did you say it was? Or have I got that hideously wrong? But
I think so.
Yeah, he's going to want his car to be 17 meters wide at this point. You know, he's going to be wanting to drive a big old tank or something around this track to keep Mark Brown behind at all costs. So I have to admit, it's going to be a scary sight seeing Mark Brown this close, and his heart has to be racing, especially in these hot conditions today as well. I feel terrible for these 2 drivers because they must be in buckets of sweat behind their racing rigs. But what a show they've put on for us, and coming on to the last few corners, will Daniel Wareham hold it? We'll find out in just a moment's time.
We will do indeed. You can see they're running their way through the final couple of corners, through Brooklands for the final time, then Luffield, then Woodcote, then across the line. Daniel Wareham's not got long left to hold on, but Mark Brown is setting him up for a very, very good run. Maybe across the line. I don't think it's going to be enough. Daniel Wareham from second place on the grid has put in the work, and he's now going to retake the championship lead with one race left to go. Daniel Wareham, with probably the most important race victory of his life, sees the checkered flag first here for round 13 of the Tanso Racing Group GR86 Championship. It's first place, and it's the championship lead for now. John Sylvester will round off the podium. Ryan Dudley, well, Defence Minister today. He has played the Checo Perez to Daniel Wareham, and he has put in the work, and he is giving his teammate the best foot forward. Big news, however, is Harry Fox in 16th. He doesn't even benefit from the reverse grid race, Callum.
No, unfortunate for Harry Fox there. But you say that, and he is closing down that time. So it will be interesting to see if he's able to get across in front of Shane Cotton, but I don't think he's going to do so, and he's not. He wasn't far behind though. You look at that, 3/10. 3/10 is all that was in his way for the reverse grid there. So unfortunate for him, and another person unfortunate for today. He did tell us he has the wrong livery on, so the Viagra on the side of that car, I think John's got a bit of explaining to do, but he's also got a bit of explaining to do to his race engineer, because he's finished in P20, so unfortunately he's not going to benefit from the reverse grid. But also, the person I said he'd be fighting with, Sarikar Desler, finds himself on the front row of the grid for race 2, so that puts a spanner in the works for him as well. So interesting stuff leading up into race 2 of the evening. So we'll get you the results as soon as possible, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see who can claw their way through the reverse grid, Zach, for the race 2.
Indeed so. Well, we'll talk you through the results of race 1. 20 minutes of grueling action, and it was Daniel Wareham that comes out on top. 2/10 back was Mark Brown. Look for him to charge his way through the field. John Sylvester limiting the damage there in third, with Ryan Dudley doing such a good job as a rear gunner for the Simtech team. Mark Proctor, Darryl Morrison 5 and 6th, with Joe Glass matching Shane Cotton now in the championship. 0 points between them. Martin Lee, Alex Sylvester and Neil Rocks the top 10, with Sean Weber, Richard Flutie, Scott Kostrick, Hussein Sarakadeza and Shane Cotton will start the front row of race 2. Harry Fox, though, will start 16th after an appalling race 1. I have to say, being 31 points back on Daniel Wareham going into race 2, it's not looking likely that he's going to come out on top, it must be said. But yeah, that AM Championship, if I've got it right, if it's 1 point system for the AMs and 1 for the pros, it's matched. It's 0 points between them, which I think it is based on the fact that Shane Cotton has got more points than the pro lead, which tells me that it is 2 separate point scoring systems. So Shane Cotton, he's, well, starting a decent distance ahead of Joe Glass in that AM Championship. So, well, we got 2 championships on the line here. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it certainly will be interesting. But one thing to think about is, we said, you know, Harry Fox may struggle because, you know, he's not benefiting from the reverse grid. Yeah, fair enough, okay, but he's P16, which is 1 position behind those that are affected by the reverse grid, which will be your quickest guys out there. So you've got Mark Brown and Wareham who are just ahead of him. So with that in mind, when they're clawing their way up through the grid, they possibly will make room and drag Harry Fox with them. So Harry Fox is still in a chance for points here, but maybe not the win, unless Wareham and Brown, probably both of them, will need to have a big mistake between those two. You know, if they're battling hard like we've just seen in race 1, he needs a big accident to happen between them two. Hopefully it doesn't from our point of view, but for him, hopefully it does. And he can then benefit from the points gained, which they will unfortunately concede.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I really don't see Harry Fox doing much in this race. His pace in race 1 was dire, and I don't mean that harshly or personally. Harry Fox is a sensational driver, has had a really good season, but today has not been good enough, unfortunately, to win the championship. Let us know, though, in the YouTube channel. Of course, those joining us on the JP Broadcasting YouTube network, we're now over 1,200 subscribers, so make sure you are liking the broadcast if you enjoy it. If me and Callum are doing a good job, please say so James doesn't get rid of us. That would be nice. But also turn the bell on for notifications to not miss a thing that comes your way in terms of sim racing. We've got absolutely everything, covering probably one of the widest range of motorsport disciplines on in sim racing, from endurance to single-seaters, GT3s, GR86s, you name it, we've got it. And we cater to everything that you could wish. So if you're looking for a home in a series that you love, you've got it. If you're looking to branch out and expand your motorsport knowledge, you've also got it here on JP Broadcasting. So if you are new, make sure you are tuning in more often. But if you are a regular, and even if you are new, tune into the YouTube chat. Tell us what you're thinking, your thoughts, your feelings, your queries, your questions, whatever springs to mind as we approach the final race of the Tanso Racing Group Championship. So much on the line. We've got 6 points between Daniel Wareham and John Sylvester in the pros, and we've got nothing between Shane Cotton and Joe Glass in the AMs. 25 minutes left of this season, Callum, and it's been a wild ride all the way through.
Yeah, it certainly has, and you know, I think we're going to be treated to more good racing in this second race, and well, this is what we've built up for over the 13 and 14, 14 rounds and so that we've had. This is what it's all come down to. You know, we all knew it would come down to the wire at Silverstone, and we've known that for, well, quite a while with how hard these guys have been driving, whether they're at the top of the grid or at the bottom of the grid. You know, they've all been battling really hard, and they're going to have to be pushing. They've all got their rivals, and I'm sure they're going to be very close to their rivals as well on this grid. So it all comes down to these last few laps of this season, and it's almost like a bit of a F1 21 kind of thing between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. You know, who's going to come out on top, and I think we'll be in for a surprise in this race too. I think there could be some interesting scenes, especially if race 1 is anything to go by. You know, looking at the start, we had a couple of people off early doors pretty much on the start line, and you know, that might affect those people fighting the reverse grid and trying to get back up to get as many points as possible, such as Mark Brown.
Well, round 14 of the Tanso Racing Group GR86 Championship comes down to this. Shane Cotton leading the way in the AM Championship, starts from pole position. Hussein Sarakadeslet will join him on row 1, with Scott Kostrick, Richard Flutie just in behind. Sean Weber rounds off the top 5. Neil Rocks keeps him for company on row 3. Then comes Alex Sylvester and Martin Lee, with Joe Glass matched with Shane Cotton. A long road ahead if he wants to win this championship. Darryl Morrison rounds off the top 10 with Mark Proctor and Ryan Dudley, the back end of row 6. Beyond that, though, we've got the likes of John Sylvester, who is ahead of Mark Brown and Daniel Wareham for the championship fight. There they are. John Sylvester needs to get the jump and get some points ahead of Wareham. Harry Fox, 16th place, and we are already underway here for race 2. Someone's not moved. I think it's Adrian Hadfield, who's yet to get away from the grid. Finally does so. Shane Cotton, Scott Kostrick with the move of the century, potentially to take the lead from 3rd on the grid. Already up 2 places around the outside of Cop's corner, and he's done it. Up into the lead goes the Scotsman. The 111 takes the lead of race 2 already. Hussein Sarakadeslet in his fight for 5th in the AM Championship picks his way past Shane Cotton as well, and up in the 2nd place overall. Side by side as they run their way through Maggotts and Beckett's for the first time. Look for Daniel Wareham, look for John Sylvester. Daniel Wareham already 3 places ahead of his championship rival.
Yeah, he's doing well already, and I've just seen Alex Sylvester drop 1 or 2 positions there early doors. So the key thing for Alex Sylvester is, can he try and hold up Dan Wareham as much as possible, because he does have the advantage out of both the Sylvesters at the moment. So can he hold up that man? And he is defending that line, as I just seen him there sweeping over towards Wareham's side of the track, and I guess trying to hold him up. But no, Darryl Morrison, the person I said to look out for, has gone round, and I think he's taken Mark Brown with him.
Yeah, he has. They're tumbling down. Where's John Sylvester in that carnage? He's managed to pick his way through. Ryan Dudley's been collected, I think. Yeah, Joe Glass has had an abysmal start. Look at this, though. We've got 6 cars separated by absolutely nothing. Alex Sylvester trying to keep Daniel Wareham at bay. He's trying to do what Ryan Dudley did for Daniel Wareham in race 1. He's trying to do that for his dad. Inside line in towards Abbey Corner. He is not letting Daniel Wareham out of his sights. Almost contact as the two teammates run side by side. Alex Sylvester picking his way through as Daniel Wareham is side by side with Sean Weber and Neil Rocks. Look at this run from Daniel Wareham, already up 9 places. Side by side in the background, I think Harry Cotton has had, Harry Fox and Shane Cotton have had some contact in the background. Also, John Sylvester, a really lackluster start. There's the send from Sylvester though. He is not letting his dad down without a fight.
No, he's certainly not, and he's got to try and hold up the people around him as much as possible. You know, Dan Wareham being one of them. John Sylvester isn't that far behind. He's only a couple of cars back, so he needs to try and get a hold of Dan Wareham and try and hold him back as much as possible in terms of points. That will be the most ideal situation and scenario for John here, so he can claw his way back up the field, as he's got the gap to 9 tenths behind Shane Cotton at the moment, and he's closing that down fairly quickly. So there was a bit of there was an early coincidence, like I mentioned. It wasn't on the start line this time, it was a bit after, but unfortunately it's taken down the likes of Mark Brown. I think there was a commentator's coincidence, as we've said before here on the JPV channel. I think there was one of them, because I did say, you know, if there is a situation where people crash out or anything, it will sweep up the likes of Mark Brown, and he was the only name I mentioned, and he seemed to be the only one involved in the standings within the top 5 of these pros that got caught up in that. So I might have to hold my hand up to that one.
Maybe so. Sean Weaver, the South African, picking his way past Richard Flutie. They go side by side. The 150 machine, the Simtech liveried car, backs out of that particular fight and demotes himself off the podium. Scott Kostrick versus Hussein Sarakadesla fighting over the lead still. One of the AM drivers, Sarakadesla, by the way, number 8 machine, up there, doing a brilliant job. Only half a second off the 111 machine despite being in a different class. Amazing to see. Could we see an AM winning the overall race? That would be the cherry on top of this evening of racing, of how insane it has been. It has to then be topped by maybe an AM winning would be crazy, but let's not get our hopes up too soon. We're 4 minutes into a 25-minute showdown, and yet Daniel Wareham is still trying to gain. That's the thing though, Callum, if you're in Daniel Wareham's situation right now, you're winning the championship. Do you win it by fighting your way through and scoring as high as you can, or do you settle for where you are now?
I think you've got to fight. I mean, Dan Wareham may not know exactly where John is right now, because he probably has his relative up, but his relative won't show him where John is, because he's too many cars back at the minute. But that doesn't put John out of shooting range. You know, he's only maybe 3 odd seconds behind Dan Wareham, and Dan's not going to realise that at this moment of time. Harry Fox posting the fastest lap, by the way, just then, at 2 minute 7.5. And a couple of cars going wide in front of Dan Wareham here, so he's going to look to take advantage, and all cars are looking a bit squirrely. Oh, there's a car off the track there. I think it's one of Sylvester's. That is Alex Sylvester is quickly falling down the grid. Alex Sylvester's off, so unfortunately he can't help John any more than what he has done so far. But if I was in Dan Wareham's shoes, Zach, I have to admit, I'll be pushing as hard as I possibly can. He won't know it right now, but John Sylvester, he's lurking in the background. You'll see his red bonnet there just in the background. Come around the left-hander now as he gets onto the straight where Dan Wareham is. There he is in the background, trying to make the moves up the grid, and he is doing so at this moment of time, so we are on board with him. He's going to hold the inside line coming into the next corner. He's going to get that position nice and easily in front of the Whisk car there, making quick work and not damaging his pace too much. So yeah, for Dan Wareham, he's going to really need to push as hard as he can and get as high up the grid as quick as possible.
Yeah, agreed. He's not got long to do it. In retrospect, yes, he's still got 80% of the race left to go, but it's only 20 minutes. It's not that long. And he needs to get a move on now, and he needs to hope that Daniel Wareham has a shocking run of pace. Yeah, with each lap that goes by, unfortunately, I think John Sylvester is looking less and less likely. There's the move from Neil Rocks to the inside of Mark Proctor for 6th place overall. Moves his way past the man 2nd place in the AM standings of this race. Mark Proctor is on the fight back as they run their way through the right-hander, and outside goes the Benson Hedges yellow and black machine. The 87 of Proctor once again has the inside as they run their way through Brooklands. Nice wide line from the Wiskins racing machine of Neil Rocks gives him now the outside for Brooklands, which will once again swing the way for the inside of Laffield. He's gone in deep, but still got overlap outside and very wide for Mark Proctor. Keeps his foot in and might well have the pace advantage as they exit at the penultimate corner. Not quite enough to see him ahead, but still enough to have an advantage and maybe a look in towards Cobbs.
Yeah, it certainly might do, but one thing to mention, look who's lurking at the background again. Dan Wareham has just done the quickest time, 2 minutes 7 flat almost, but John Sylvester, 2 minutes 7.2. He's not that far behind, and he's on the back of these two fighting at the moment. The battling's going to slow these two down, so John Sylvester's going to be looking to get by as quick as he possibly can as he goes side by side with Mark Proctor. Has the outside line, but leading on to the inside line of the following turn. So they're going to kind of back and forth a bit for the inside line until they can get on the straight, and that's where Sylvester will hopefully gain the position. But it looks like he's got it early, one turn early. Mark Proctor had to go on the brakes a little bit there to ensure he didn't go into the back of Sylvester. We can't have two Sylvesters out. Having Alex drop down a few positions is bad enough, so we can't have John doing that as well. John Sylvester isn't that far behind Wareham. Wareham was only at the end of the straight here, and we'll see if we can get a little bit of a better cam. So there you go, you can see the pink bonnet of Wareham, but you can't actually, they're not as close as I thought, you can't see the bonnet of John Sylvester just yet, so there is still a good 3 or so second gap between them. So hopefully he can pick up that time, and Dan Wareham can get his foot down a bit and try and break away a bit more, because I think it's going to be needed before the end of this race.
Yeah, indeed. And with what, 17 minutes left to go. Yep, that's maths. Good job, Zach. Daniel Wareham to the inside makes it second place. He's doing it for fun. His pace here is second to absolutely nobody, and it might well be a double race win. From 15th on the grid, in the opening 8 minutes, he's worked his way up to second. 1.4 seconds now is the gap to Scott Kostrick, and I'd probably have to say 16.5 minutes between him and the championship. The only thing that can stop him now is himself.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's one thing, battling confidence, you know, getting a bit too overconfident with the car or sending it in a bit too hot into some of the corners. That's one thing to battle, but then the other thing is nerves. You know, you want to battle them nerves, and I'm sure Dan will be nervous at the minute as a racing driver, but also he's going to try and keep as composed as possible, because he's got 1.4 seconds until he's in the lead of race 2. And if he can get that, that is where he really starts to draw out the gap, and that's where he can really start to gain and get away from John Sylvester. But remember, John Sylvester, if he just gets as high as he possibly can, he's still in for a shout. You know, he doesn't... I'm not 100% sure on the points, because my maths isn't as good as Zach's, and my memory isn't as good either. So I can't remember if John Sylvester needs to be in front of Dan Wareham, but certainly the higher he gets up this grid, the closer those two are going to be at the end of the season. And be a bit of bragging rights leading into the next season. You know, we've heard that there isn't much of a gap between the two seasons, but that will give these two something to fight for next season early doors as well. So Harry Fox at the minute on the back of the battle between Richard Fluherty and Sarikar Desler. Sarikar Desler being currently P1 overall for the AMS, but then P3 as it stands in the overall standings. So he's currently doing Bostock proud. Bostock not able to be with us tonight, unfortunately, but he's doing him proud in the GP2 team livery there. And in terms of teams, I know there's a couple of battles that are tight, but there's also 1 or 2 teams that look like they've sealed the deal already in their standings, but we'll touch on those a bit later on after the race, because at the minute we're going to focus on Dan Wareham, who's really putting the pressure on Kostrick. And it's been a while since I've been able to focus on Kostrick and seen him this high up the grid. He's been getting in a lot of battles at the minute recently, but they've been about mid-pack, and Dan Wareham's going to have his inside line, send Kostrick to the outside, but then Kostrick's going to come back with the inside line. Has he got the momentum, or is Dan Wareham going to carry more speed, which looks like he will? Scott Kostrick is going to keep his nose there, though, and be a pest for Dan Wareham. This is ultimately going to slow both cars down. There's been a spin. Richard Fluherty. Richard Fluherty's gone. I'm not too sure if that was contact there. By the looks of it, there was contact between the two cars battling out there, probably a bit of corner to corner, but in the meantime, Dan Wareham has got the lead of race 2, and he's going to try and push forward, but not on Scott Kostrick's watch. He's going to try and keep the pressure on. Zach, I mean, let's flip the question. Let me ask you, if you were Dan Wareham in this position, what would you be thinking?
Going to win. I'd be like, sod you, I'm off. Just going to see how much I can do. He's worked his way from 15th to 1st in the span of the first half of this race, less than the first half of this race. He's done it in great fashion. Good little battle there with Scott Kostrick. Harry Fox has done a really good job in this race. I'll give him credit for that, but it's not going to be enough to be anywhere near the championship. John Sylvester in 6th will still retain 2nd. Coming into this race, it was a 6-point deficit from John Sylvester to Dan Wareham, if my maths is correct, which they never usually are, because I'm a commentator. Never trust a commentator's maths. Inside line for Harry Fox. He picks his way past the Scotsman of Scott Kostrick and up in a 2nd place. But as it stands now, Dan Wareham 45 points, Harry Fox 40, only a 5-point gain, still 26 between the two of them. Then John Sylvester, I think 5th overall in the pros, therefore gets 31, which is a 14-point gain from Dan Wareham. Nowhere near Dan Wareham in the championship. It has been the perfect day for him today, and if he can just seal the deal over the course of the next 12.5 minutes, it's his for the taking. Harry Fox might be able to win the race, but Dan Wareham will win the championship. I have got no doubt about it, unless something absolutely crazy happens, in which case then fair enough.
Yeah, certainly. But one thing I will look at quickly is how Shane Cotton is doing well. He's currently P9, so he's 3rd overall for AMS. But he's leading on 497 points after race 1. Joe Glass on 493, who's P2 in the championship standings, but Joe Glass is currently P14 in AMS. Mark Proctor's 3rd in the standings with 448 points, but Mark Proctor's 2nd in the AMS at the moment on the grid. So there's a lot going on at the moment, and well, the battle at the minute, it seems like the closest battle in terms of the championship is going to be between Shane Cotton and I've lost it because the colours are changed. Shane Cotton and Joe Glass. That was the one. See, that's how bad my memory is. But yeah, that's going to be the biggest battle so far, and also Mark Proctor involved there as well. I'm not too sure if that'll be enough points for Mark Proctor to overtake Shane Cotton though, so Mark Proctor's going to want to try and get, you know, that extra bit of horsepower if he can find it, and get past a couple more cars to gain a few more points in the chance of possibly moving up to P2 in the standings, but I don't think he'll have enough to get the P1 overall.
Yeah, well, coming into today, Mark Proctor, I didn't even write him down in the top 3, and that's really harsh, but he was a long way off. 4.66 for Shane Cotton, 4.57 for Joe Glass, 4.03 for Proctor. Bit of a big gap, it must be said. Here's a fight here. Here's Alex Sylvester on the fight with Joe Glass, who is or was matched with Shane Cotton coming into today. An appalling start from the 28 machine, though, did see him lose some ground and potentially lose the championship as well. And well, it's a shame for him, but there's going to be delight for Shane Cotton to round things off with a championship win as it stands, because it was a winner-takes-all scenario between the two of them, and well, Shane Cotton's arrived. He started 1st in this race. He's lost 8 places, but he doesn't care. He doesn't give 2 monkeys about what's going on, because as long as he's ahead of Joe Glass, no one else in this race matters whatsoever. John Sylvester, however, might be a little bit demoralised as Neil Rocks takes over to the grass and is ticking off all of the elements there as he finds himself now behind John Sylvester, who moves his way up to 5th. Nowhere near still enough for Sylvester to win the championship, but it's a top 5. Yay, whoop-de-doo-dah for John Sylvester.
Made that sound a lot worse than what it actually is. You know, top 5 isn't too bad at all with the trophy coming their way, but at the minute, Sarah Cardezza is really struggling with that car by the looks of it, because Neil Rocks just sent himself onto the grass because it looked like Sarah Cardezza was going a bit slower than normal through the final turns there before coming across the start-finish line, and you just saw him go massively wide there in front of John Sylvester, so John could potentially make up another position, because, yeah, I don't know what it is, but at the minute, it seems like Sarah Cardezza is struggling a bit with the GR86, so we'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully there's no issues with the car. I don't think there should be, because I believe the damage is turned off, and it looks like...
Who's that?
Mark Proctor.
Proctor, yeah.
One of the ones involved in the AM standings for the championship has gone off, and we'll have to see what's going on here. But it looks like the left hand coming onto the straight is where he lost it. He's lost it just before, just as he's hit the curb for it. He doesn't collect. Oh, that's good avoidance, and well, it's a bit of off-roading there. I believe that's for Mark Brown in the Monster Energy livery. So Mark Brown's avoided that, and luckily he didn't get caught up in it. There he is in the background, actually. So he's still in the fight and in with a chance of a few points, to say the least. So not a bad result for Mark in terms of not being collected there. Unfortunate early doors being collected, but very good avoidance then. But John Sylvester still putting on the pressure for Sarah Cardezza, who's still leading the AMs, by the way, and doing very well to be holding P4 at the minute on such a sort of quick paced track. And the times were close in the qualifying, but in the race it seems like the pace is very dominant for the pros, and for Sarah Cardezza to be battling that high up still is very impressive.
Indeed it is. Now what we've got is 8 minutes left to go in this race. Darren Morrison swapping places with Kevin Randall. Nothing major happening there. Harry Fox has kept Daniel Wareham honest. A little bit slow on that last lap. Match for pace, really. Ryan Dudley on the back of Neil Rocks after a mistake on the previous lap. Ryan Dudley looking to get himself up an extra place. Slight bit of overlap into Cops. He's going to force the initiative by going in deep. The Wiskins racing car, the 142, sails around the outside and keeps the place a little bit wide from Sarah Cardezza. And now John Sylvester is promoted to go side by side through Magnus and Beckett. Has the Platinum Racing Team car got the inside? That's the black, red and white. And he does. And John Sylvester is up to 4th. Again, nowhere near enough to win the championship, but it's an extra place, I suppose, and it means that if anything does happen to Dan Wareham over the course of the next 7 minutes, he's there to do something about it, I suppose. A bit of a fight also further back. Mark Proctor under pressure from Darryl Morrison. Sensational move, and it's been done twice as Alex Sylvester in the background tries to do it as well on Kevin Randall. Great bit of battling here, up and down the field.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Darren Morrison, like I said, is definitely going to be one to look out for next season if he carries on in the GR86s for next season. He certainly has pace, unfortunately instant earlier on, but you know, his pace to get back up into P11 at the moment is just fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him battling high up the grid for season 4. At the minute, yeah, like you said, there's battles going on everywhere. It's a bit hard to keep up with it all. But on such a hot day, these guys are giving us such a good show.
Indeed so. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a brilliant display of racing action, and I have have absolutely loved it. John Sylvester and Sarah Cardezza go side by side as well in the final 6 minutes of the season. Sarah Cardezza really getting in the mix amongst some of the quickest guys in the pros.
He certainly is, and he's not letting his AM status affect him by any means. You know, if he's finishing within the top 8 pros there, well, he's going to win the race for the AMs, so that's a win. But it's a win in itself if you take the AM and pro standings away. Harry Fox, by the way, going quickest again with a 2:06. He's actually going to be putting Dan Wareham under a bit of pressure here. And just as I say that, commentator's coincidence once again, because he's gone a bit wide and picked up a bit of dirt on the tyres, but his pace seems to be a lot stronger than Dan Wareham's around this track. So he's finding an extra couple of tenths, probably in a few corners, maybe braking a bit later or carrying an extra momentum through the corners, which is getting him rather close to Dan Wareham. So Dan Wareham's got to be careful. If he wants 2 back-to-back victories, he's gonna have to kind of keep half an eye on his mirrors as well as what's in front of him. So it's not going to be easy for Wareham in these last few minutes here.
It is not. 5 minutes left to go, and look at that, 3 wide on the run up towards Stowe, tucking in wherever they can, finding a space. They settle for 2 rows of 2. Inside line for Mark Brown as he picks his way into the top 5. Ryan Dudley pinched on the inside as well. There's Neil Rocks in the Wiskins racing car going the outside. Once again, somehow, they've settled in 2 wide, 2 deep. Noah's Ark style in towards the Vale chicane. Mark Brown keeps 5th place. There goes Neil Rocks on the inside trying to get his way past. That is Sarah Cardezza. Ryan Dudley now into the mix, picking his way through. It was a good run for Sarah Cardezza, unfortunately, until it wasn't.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that Sarah Cardezza, you know, didn't finish or isn't still in the top 5, but he's still doing well considering he is still leading by almost 2 seconds the AMs. you know, Shane Cotton is closing the time now, so Sarah Desert does seem to be struggling, so I'm not too sure if maybe he's scraped a bit too much of rubber off of those tyres or something, but he seems to really be struggling to keep that thing going and keep the momentum going in the car as well. So that's certainly going to be something to look out for, see if, you know, Sarah Desert can get the AM victory, because now, you know, eyebrows are being raised and questions are being asked, because 1.4 seconds now Shane Cotton behind the AM leader of Sarah Desley in this race. So yeah, I'm going to be raising eyebrows at that one, because I'm not too sure what's going on with Sarah Desley, unless he's just struggling in the heat maybe, you know, in wherever he's racing in, and that could also be a situation that some of these drivers are struggling with, and or who knows, if he does come into the booth after the race, we'll certainly ask him about it. But it seems like a couple of people are going a bit wide, as you saw it from Dudley there on turn 1. But I have to keep an eye on Sarah Desert's car, see what happens with it. But there's battles going on all over the field, like we've mentioned already. The classic Castrol livery there, going side by side with, I believe it's Adrian Hadfield. Yes, it is the green bonnet of Adrian Hadfield, on side by side up the home straight, and you could see the gap between the top two to the rest of the grid. You know, you've got the rest of the grid bunched up from Scott Kostrick all the way back to, I think it's about P10, I believe. Yeah, it is P10. The P11's the next batch, but the space in between these cars is quite impressive, really. But it's good to see that there are groups of people with very similar pace out there tonight.
Indeed so. Look at that up and under from John Sylvester to pick his way onto the podium as well. Sensational stuff from the man who might well finish second in the championship after all of tonight. He's given it a valiant effort, it must be said, and unfortunately his main drawback was a slow start. Dan Wareham and John Sylvester not separated too much in terms of pace. It was just that initial getaway that gave Wareham the advantage, and now with 1 lap left to go, it's a little bit shaky from John Sylvester. Scott Kostrick looks to the inside as they run their way through the long right-hander before you proceed in towards the next left. Then it's Brooklands, the 193, has the inside. John Sylvester very confident through this corner. Mark Brown trying to send a late charge for the podium inside versus Scott Kostrick, who's forced out and now might have the inside for Luffield. Bit of contact door to door. Neil Rocks in the background as well, trying to force the initiative and push Scott Kostrick through in the slipstream. John Sylvester clear for the podium. 1 lap left to go, and it's Dan Wareham's to lose.
Yeah, John Sylvester's doing well. He's going to be laughing. He's doing well at the minute to keep his pace out in front, but he's going to be laughing seeing all these guys battling behind, because he knows that that's going to slow them down. And there's the contact. It was inevitable. It was going to happen, and it's between Mark Brown and Scott Kostrick. Unfortunately, going a bit corner to corner there. Hopefully, Scott Kostrick kept out of the wall and was able to keep going. It looks like he has done so. You know, he's lost a few positions. Don't get me wrong, but the good thing is he's managed to keep it going, I believe. In fact, no, I've got him listed down as out, so never mind. I thought he managed to keep it going, but he must have got out of the car rather quickly after that incident. So unfortunate there for Scott Kostrick, who's gone from being, well, relatively high up the grid to now being not on the grid. So very unfortunate circumstances there. They were racing close. It was inevitable. It was going to happen at some point. Potentially more contact between these two now, Brian Dudley and Neil Rocks, but it looks like they've got great respect for each other and giving each other plenty of space there. Very nice to see, even coming into the final stages where every point matters. We will jump towards the leaders though, because this is the last few turns of the Tanso Season 3 in the last round at Silverstone Legacy. So overall, what a night for Dan Wareham, Zach.
Indeed so. And now he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 corners left to go between him and victory. He came in tonight 3rd place in the championship. He came here a man on a mission, and well, in 2 corners time he'll leave with the prestige, the trophy and the glory of the Tanso Racing Group Season 3 Championship in the GR86s. A flash of the headlights, the run through Woodcote, and he sees the checkered flag first for the 2nd time this evening. Dan Wareham across the line, victorious for the 2nd time in Silverstone, victorious as a champion, and takes the top step here today. Harry Fox, a good effort. John Sylvester across the line, 3rd place, and not quite good enough, unfortunately, for Daniel Wareham. Harry Fox as well makes up the top 3 in the championship, the top 3 in the race, albeit a little bit of a funny order. Mark Brown, Neil Rocks, and now across the line as well, Shane Cotton, victorious in the AM Championship, also ahead of Joe Glass, I think, anyway. I'm not entirely sure, actually. I think Joe Glass was 4 back, so I'm going to get confirmation. Yeah, Joe Glass was behind, and therefore it is Shane Cotton that is the champion. Joe Glass will come home in 2nd place in the championship. What a season of racing that was, Callum, and what a way to round it off.
Yeah, it was a fantastic way to round it off. You know, great weather to do so as well. It is a shame it is all over. It is a shame, but you know, season 4 it is around the corner. You know, it's not too far away still. But what a season of racing we've had. It's been fantastic to watch all these guys go around and enjoy themselves out on track. And like Johnson said earlier, you know, it's all about enjoyment. And it looks like all these guys have really enjoyed themselves out there tonight. And what a show we've had to round it off.
Indeed so, absolutely. Thank you to each and every one of you who's joined us along the way as well. We'll get you up the results as soon as we can. Race 2 of Event 7, round 14, and the final one for the Tanso Racing Group. Dan Wareham, 2nd win of the evening, and the championship win along the way. Nice little bonus, I suppose. Harry Fox, John Sylvester join him on the podium and join him as the top 3 in the championship, with Mark Brown and Neil Rock the top 5, Ryan Dudley 6th, Hussein Sarkadezli the victor for the AMs, but it's Shane Cotton that takes the championship glory, Richard Flutie and Alex Sylvester the top 10. Then comes Mark Proctor, Joe Glass, Darren Morrison, Martin Lee and Adrian Hadfield, the top of the Hadfields. He rounds off the top 15. We'll let the rest of the names cycle their way through and all the way back to the back end of the field. In a moment, we are going to grab in a couple of people for an interview, I suppose. Well, who should we start with, actually? Let's go with Ryan Dudley. We'll bring him in first. Ryan Dudley, of course. Hello. Welcome in to the interview room. Well, race 1, it must be said. You did Dan Wareham quite a few favours keeping Sylvester behind.
Yeah, I did. I mean, obviously there's a bit of an incident. You know, it happens. I mean, to be honest, I think he was slowing down to obviously build, so we could build a gap. I think they've found on Sun, haven't they? Is that right?
Not entirely sure. All I know is this doesn't look pretty. What we're seeing right now on the live feed. Let's put it that way. But you did him a lot of favours. Overall, your pace tonight seemed quite confident, but it seemed that your main role was to just act as a bit of a rear gunner for Wareham and help him secure the championship. Not that he needed it, because he ran away with things with 2 wins.
He was too quick, man. I said I'd try and help him, but I guess he didn't need any help.
He didn't. It's nice, though. Nice little touch. Gets you a pint or 2, I reckon, along the way, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's great. We won the championship as a team, I think. Is that right?
I haven't looked, mate. I'll be honest.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, there's been too much going on in the pros and the AMs. We've just sort of tucked it aside a little bit. But
sure, yeah. But yeah, congratulations to Daniel, and yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, of course. Well, looking forward. You looking forward for season 4? You joining us back?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll be there for the next season as well.
You gonna win?
Hopefully, I can be a bit more competitive. I mean, just I need to maybe gather a few more points in a few certain races, but yeah, hopefully I can be up there again.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you. We look forward to seeing you back in a few weeks' time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Ta-ra.
Cheers. Ryan Dudley here for the interview, and now we'll go with Mark Brown. We'll ascend in championship order. Mark Brown, welcome in. Great race with you and Daniel Wareham over the course of race 1. You didn't quite have enough to beat him. Were you pushing for the win? Were you too interested because obviously he's fighting for the championship, or did you not give any?
No, fair play to Daniel. He had good pace, we were probably both equal pace on that. I didn't think there was any point in doing anything stupid. I didn't give him the win. So I didn't, but we raced very well. We were very close the whole way through, and well done him. He races good. It was good fun now. Yeah, I enjoyed it. So just race 2 just didn't go to plan.
Yeah, not quite, but it isn't for many people. So I think you're all right in that boat. Are you happy with your season as a whole? Are you looking forward to season 4? We getting you back?
Yeah, looking forward to season 4. This season probably didn't do as good as I wanted to. To be honest, I had a lot of DQs and I had drive-throughs and stuff this evening. We're doing stupid things basically. So I lost a lot of points all season. I think maybe 4 rounds I scored basically no points at all. So only for that there, I think I could have been up with the rest of them all been well. But no, season 4 should be interesting. So it should be good now.
Awesome stuff. Well, before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to in the chat?
Tanso, hi for the great season. It was good fun. To all the racers as well. Good bunch of men there, and it was good racing. To yourselves as well for the good stream, and yeah, just happy with the whole way thing went. So looking forward to next season.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you back in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, you will indeed. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Cheers. Mark Brown then able to almost take victory here today. We'll grab a word with Mark Proctor next up. Mark, of course, in the AM Championship, you were won, I think, 3rd place in the end for you. Today, a bit of an up and down, sort of you sailed through. I don't really think you had much of a chance for the overall championship. Were you just trying to end the season on a high?
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, it was a good fight all year for the AM Championship between me, Joe, and Shane. I think Shane won it in the end. Congratulations. But yeah, I missed last weekend, so I was basically out of it. Got in a bit of a tangle on lap 1, totally my fault. Sorry to Harry, and I think Richard was the one caught up in it. Yeah, fought back. Race 1 went quite well in the end. Second race, bit of a struggle, had a few offs, just overdriving the car, but yeah, good race.
Great pair of races, it must be said. Mark, looking forward, I mean, you reflected a bit on your season so far. Season 4, though, are you looking for more?
Oh, I can't wait. If I'm in the AM class, I'm going for the win. If I'm in the pros, not quite sure how I'll do. But no, looking forward to it. Can't wait already. Just gutted I had to miss last weekend, like I said, because I feel like it would be a good fight up top between us 3.
Absolutely. All 3 of you have shown some sensational pace over the course of the season. Looking forward to seeing looking forward to seeing more over the course of next season. Mark, before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to in the YouTube chat?
Obviously the admins, John, James, big thank you to them and anyone else who's involved in running it. Big thanks to Joe and Shane as well for a good fight all year. And then you guys, broadcasting. Big thank you to you too as well. All you guys.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks' time.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Cheers. Mark Proctor then. We've got a couple more left to go. We'll drag in Harry Fox. Harry. Right. Well, you came in 2 points off the championship lead tonight. What happened at the start of race 1? And honestly, that really must have been the defining factor for you.
I mean, it qualified badly in the first place anyway, really.
Yeah.
I didn't really get enough practice. I've been out all day and I'm covered in sunburn.
Aren't we all?
Wearing gloves and shoes with sunburn on your hands is not a particularly pleasant experience, I won't deny. But yeah, I wasn't really prepared enough for today. And the accident at the beginning just was the final nail in the coffin, really. And then not really enough pace to take the lead in the second race. Not that it would have made much of a difference, but yeah.
Would have been a nice. You bought the championship, but at least you won a race. Would have been a nice little touch. You didn't quite have it, but from 16th on the grid, I'd be honest. I did doubt you. I didn't expect you to do much, but then you got second place, so at least it's all right. Season as a whole was really fun. Are we seeing you back for season 4?
Yeah, I think so. I'd like to see the setup changed a little bit for the next season, with it being a fixed setup. It's the traction control is a bit of a nightmare, but we'll see. I'll definitely be signing up anyway. I already am signed up even, so I'll be doing it next season.
Awesome stuff. Well, we look forward to seeing you back in a few weeks' time. Before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to in the YouTube chat?
Nobody that comes to mind right now.
Wow.
It was a good race with Dan in the final though. That was really good fun. I figured out where I was losing all the time.
Yeah. Taking a nice look at his rear end, I suppose. Right. Well, thanks for talking to us, Harry. We'll see you back in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, catch you in a bit.
Awesome. Cheers, Harry Fox, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, though, and finally, we've got Daniel Wareham, who, well, to start, you and Ryan Dudley did win the Pro Teams Championship, so congratulations for that by 89 points, nearly a full weekend worth of racing. And then, on top of that, I suppose, nice little touch on top, you did win the Pro Drivers Championship as well. Very well done to you. Congratulations. Tonight, though, what happened? What switch did you flick? What did you have for breakfast? What substances did you have, and where can I get some?
To be fair, mate, I've been really busy all day, and I've been like thinking I need to get on this track and get some practice, and I've just jumped straight in and just gone with it. No practice at all. Just sat down and just raced. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose over the last few weeks, this car and me just started to really click. Yeah, to get a fast lap out of it, you've got to get it on the edge. You've got to get it on the edge. Yeah, I just went for it basically. I'm glad Mark backed off on the race one.
Yeah, well, would have been a very interesting affair had it been otherwise. But yeah, no,
Harry was scaring me a little bit on race 2.
He said he learned a lot about the track, looking at your rear end. So at least there's that. At least you can start a coaching service. Now you're a champion. But yeah, very well done to you. Are we seeing you back for season 4?
Certainly am.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. You got to defend the championship, haven't you?
I certainly have. Yeah. And if anybody's listening who wants to get involved, I strongly suggest you should do, because it's pretty good. It's a good group of guys. It's a learning process. Yeah. I suggest it's a good suggestion.
It is very, very good group of lads. We were talking to John earlier about the atmosphere and things, how it's probably one of the best that you're ever going to get. But well, Daniel, before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to in the YouTube chat?
Well, basically everybody knows me. You guys for doing an excellent job, and my missus for putting up with all the time that I have to put into practicing usually. So yeah, my missus and my kids, thank you very much.
Awesome stuff. Well, I'm sure they're loving it. They can read a book or something, I don't know, while Dad's off on the sim doing his own thing. But yeah, very well done to you.
I don't usually see one of my daughters. She's in the bedroom stuck on the game herself, so yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, well, thanks very much.
Get her in Tanso, get her racing.
Yeah, right.
Because we need another family in Tanso. It's not like we've got like 4 different family trees or anything like that.
Yeah.
We'll get the Warehams in as well.
I've seen my daughter drive on it, and you don't want that.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd give us a run for her money. I'm sure. Anyway, well, Daniel, thanks for coming in to chat with us, and fingers crossed we'll see you back in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, cheers for doing a good job, guys.
Awesome, thank you very much, Daniel Wareham. Then the champion of the pros today. Callum, what a season it's been. We've just racked our way through a ton of interviews, but what a season of racing. Really, really impressed. I know I wasn't here for the whole thing, joining all the way back at Bathurst, but I've been really impressed by the standard of racing, and, well, I hope you're looking forward to season 4.
Yeah, certainly will be. I mean, like you said, you joined at Bathurst. I was lucky enough to see the entire season, and the ability and skill that these drivers have gone from, where we started when I started covering Tanso with the JPB YouTube channel back last season. The standard was okay, but this season's really kind of topped it all off. Seeing these drivers progress over a couple of seasons now, and the progress that these guys are making, it's fantastic. And seeing these guys, some of the names that we talk about week in, week out that are always at the top now weren't at the top a season ago, and for them to be fighting high and punching higher, what would have been above their weight class is now well within their weight class, is just fantastic to see. So yeah, once again, a fantastic season that we've just covered, and look forward to many more. Season 4 is around the corner. These drivers have got enough time to have a week off, get maybe get a couple of drinks in, maybe not do a Jack Grealish and get absolutely hammered, but hopefully you can get a couple of pints in or a couple of glasses of wine, whatever takes you fancy, and relax before the commence of season 4. So obviously those out there that do want to get involved and potentially see yourself on the broadcast or come into the booth for an interview after a race, get yourself involved with the Tanso Racing Group for season 4. Yeah, looking for, we've made some good memories, both you and I, on the booth this season, and looking forward to many more, not only with yourself but with Tanso as well. So the future is looking bright.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, that is going to bring an end to our coverage of the Tanso Racing Group Season 3 of their GR86 Championship. It's been myself, Zach Sweeney, Callum Mileham alongside me in the commentary booth, and also pointing the cameras and making sure that we're looking at the right things at the right time. He's done a sensational job since, he started doing it back at Bathurst. So yeah, he's been doing a brilliant job. Thank you, of course, to Tanso for having JP Broadcasting here and allowing us to broadcast their spectacular season of racing. Congratulations to Shane Cotton and to Daniel Wareham for their respective championships, and of course to Simtech for their team's championship along the way as well. And also, thank you to all of you guys watching along at home. Without your support, JP Broadcasting would be nowhere near what it is today. So thank you for tuning in, giving your comments in the live chat, liking, subscribing, turning the bell on for notifications as well. It's always built from you in the community. However, ladies and gentlemen, we are eventually going to have to say goodbye at some point. As much as we don't want to let it go, Season 4 of the Tanso Racing Group will start back up again in a few weeks' time. Keep a lookout for it, because Season 4 is going to be one you do not want to miss. And if you do want to get yourself involved, get over to the Tanso Racing Group Discord, get yourself signed up for their upcoming championships, and hopefully we'll see you on the track sometime soon. For myself and Callum, it's a very, very warm goodbye.